Alright, settle in. Today's class has the least glamorous title in the whole course: Project Documentation, Daily Reports, Digital Data, and Photography Standards. I know, it sounds like the class you take a nap in. But I'm going to tell you something I've watched play out over and over in this industry. The people who take documentation seriously are the people who win. And the people who blow it off are the ones who get burned on money, on schedule, and sometimes in a courtroom. Look at the subtitle: The Legal Record That Wins Disputes, and the Tools That Create It. That's the whole class right there. Because here's the reality of commercial construction: disputes happen. Owners and contractors disagree about who caused a delay, who's responsible for a defect, whether a change was authorized. And when that disagreement gets serious, when it goes to a claim, or mediation, or litigation, nobody's memory matters. The paper trail matters. The daily reports, the photos, the documented record. That's what wins. So today is about how you build that record every single day, so that when something goes sideways 2 or 3 years down the road, you've got the goods. Let's go. 5 pieces today. 1. Why documentation wins disputes. I want to start with the why, because if you don't believe it matters, you won't do it well. Courts decide construction cases off the paper trail. We'll talk about exactly why. 2. The daily report and its 12 required elements. This is the heart of the class. There are 12 things a superintendent must document every single day. We're going to walk all 12. 3. Photography and video standards. What you shoot before work gets covered up, and how to do it right. This one saves projects. 4. Construction software. Procore, Autodesk Build, Bluebeam Revu. The tools you'll be expected to know on day 1 of your first job. And 5. Lead documentation. Waste management, material tracking, VOC records. On a lead project, the documentation is the credit. The focus is right there. Protect the project with defensible records, document daily conditions, progress, and issues, and use your digital tools correctly. And here's the key idea I want you to leave with today. If it is not documented, it is difficult to prove. Say that to yourself on every job site for the rest of your career. If it isn't documented, it is difficult to prove. You can be completely right. The other side really did cause the delay. The change condition really did happen. But if you didn't document it, good luck proving it. That's the game. Let's learn how to win it. This is the most important slide in the class, so let me orient you. The daily report has 12 required elements, and we've grouped them into 4 logical buckets. I'm going to introduce all 12 now at a high level. Then we'll take each bucket in detail on the next few slides. Bucket 1. Project and conditions. Elements 1, 2, 3. Project ID. What job is this report for? Weather, temperature, precipitation, sky, and work performed at specific locations. These set the context for the whole day. Bucket 2. Labor and equipment. Elements 4, 5, 6. Workforce and notice. Each trade by employer with account. Equipment. What's on site and what broke down. And deliveries. What showed up, from whom, how much. Bucket 3. Visitors, inspections, and safety. Elements 7, 8, 9. Site visitors. Name, company, time, purpose. And look, element 7 is marked critical. We'll talk about why in a minute. Inspections, inspector name, area, result. And safety, your tailgate meetings, incidents, near misses. Bucket 4. Risk, claims, and closeout. Elements 10, 11, 12. Verbal directions, quoted verbatim, because these can trigger a PCO, problems and delays. And the superintendent's signature, the formal sign-off. Read this with me, because this is the reason daily reports exist. If the owner's representative was on site when you discovered a changed condition, and it's documented in the daily report, you may have a defensible claim. Think about what that sentence means. A changed condition, something different from what the contract said you'd find, is money. It's a potential change order. But to get paid for it, you have to prove the owner knew. And if your daily report says, owner's rep John Smith on site 9:15 a.m., present when unexpected rock encountered at grid C4, now you've got a contemporaneous record that the owner was right there. That's a defensible claim. That's why element 7, site visitors, is critical. And 3 rules govern every entry on this report. Record facts, not opinions. Document the same day, and use specific names, times, and locations. We'll come back to those 3 over and over. Let's take the buckets one at a time. Bucket 1, project and conditions. Elements 1, 2, 3. These establish the site context for the day, and they look almost too simple. Don't let that fool you. Element 1, project ID. Project name or job number, the reporting date, and identifying the report for the correct job. Sounds obvious, right? But a superintendent often runs more than one job, and contractors run dozens of jobs at once. A daily report filed against the wrong job number is functionally lost. Get the ID right every time. Element 2, weather. Temperature, precipitation, sky conditions, and note weather changes during the day. Here's why weather is not just small talk. Weather drives delay claims. If you got rained out, or it was too cold to pour, or high winds shut down the crane, that's a documented reason for lost production. Months later, when someone asks, "Why were you 4 days behind in March?" your weather log is the answer. No weather log, no defense. Element 3, work performed. Describe the work completed, use specific locations and areas, and keep your notes factual and clear. And I mean specific, not worked on the building. That's worthless. Installed metal stud framing at level 2, grid lines A through D, north wing. That you can defend. That ties to a location on the drawings. Specificity is everything in documentation. Project and site conditions frame the entire daily report. They help explain progress, staffing, productivity, and any change conditions. And there are our 3 commandments again, applied to this bucket. Use exact location names, record changed conditions the same day, and write facts, not opinions. That last one matters here. The owner's design was stupid is an opinion, keep it out. RFI submitted regarding conflict between mechanical ductwork and structural beam at grid B3 is a fact. Document facts. Bucket 2, labor and equipment. Elements 4, 5, 6. This documents the people, the tools, and the materials supporting the work. Element 4, workforce. Each trade by employer, headcount, or crew size, and note any unusual staffing changes. That phrase by employer is important. You don't just write 20 workers. You write the breakdown. 8 from your concrete sub, 6 from the electrical sub, and so on. Why? Because if there's a delay or a productivity dispute, you need to show who had how many people on site. And if a sub claims they were fully staffed when they weren't, your daily report headcount is the proof. Element 5, equipment. List active equipment, record breakdowns, or downtime, and note major tools affecting production. Equipment downtime is delay evidence. If the tower crane was down for 6 hours waiting on a part, that's documented lost time. If you don't log it, it didn't happen, at least not as far as a claim is concerned. Element 6, deliveries. What was delivered, from whom or what vendor, and the quantity received. Deliveries tie directly to schedule. Steel delivery arrived 2 weeks late is one of the most common delay drivers in commercial construction. Your delivery log is where that story gets told. Labor, equipment, and deliveries together help explain productivity, manpower levels, and any resource-related delays. See the pattern? Every element on this report is building toward the same thing, a defensible explanation of what happened and why. Separate crews by employer, note downtime clearly, record quantities accurately. Bucket 3, visitors, inspections, and safety. Elements 7, 8, 9. This documents who was on site, what got reviewed, and any safety issues. Element 7, site visitors. And this one is marked critical for the reason we talked about on the overview slide. Name, company, time, and purpose. Mark important visits clearly. Use exact identities. Here's why this is the critical one. The single most valuable thing a daily report can do is establish who knew what, when. If the owner's representative, or the architect, or the inspector was on site when something important happened, a changed condition, a defect, a directive, and your report names them, the time, and the purpose, you've created a witness record. That's the difference between we think they knew and we can prove they were standing right there. Document your visitors like your claims depend on it, because they do. Element 8, Inspections. Inspector name or agency, the area inspected, and the result or outcome. Inspections are pass/fail moments that affect your schedule and your liability. City Building Inspector, Maria Lopez, inspected level 3 rough in electrical, passed, is a clean, defensible entry. If it failed, you document that too, factually, along with the corrective action. The inspection record protects you. Element 9, Safety. Tailgate meeting topics, incidents, or near misses, and record the facts and the follow-up. Safety documentation is non-negotiable. Your daily tailgate or toolbox talk. What was the topic? Who attended? Any incident, any near miss, documented factually, the same day. If OSHA ever shows up, or if there's an injury claim, your safety documentation is your first and best defense that you were running a safe, compliant job site. And just as important, it's the right thing to do for your people. These entries show who was present, what was checked, and whether any safety concerns occurred. Use exact names, record results clearly, document incidents factually. Factually, on a safety incident, you record what happened, not who you think is to blame. Facts. Bucket 4, Risk, Claims, and Closeout. Elements 10, 11, 12. This captures directions, delays, and the formal sign-off. Element 10, Verbal Directions. Quote the direction verbatim, note who said it, and when, and understand. This may trigger a PCO follow-up. Let me explain why this element is a sleeper hero. On a job site, people give verbal direction all the time. The owner's rep walks up and says, "Go ahead and move that wall 2 feet. We'll take care of the paperwork later." Now, you might be owed money for that. Moving the wall is extra work, a potential change. But, "we'll take care of the paperwork later," is how contractors get burned, because later, the paperwork never comes and the owner says, "I never told you to do that." So what do? You document it that day, verbatim. Owner's rep John Smith directed, at 2:30 p.m., to relocate wall at grid C, 2 by 2 feet east. Verbal direction. PCO to follow. Now you've got a contemporaneous record. And PCO, that's a potential change order, which is exactly where we're headed next class. Verbal directions documented today become change orders and money tomorrow. Element 11, Problems and Delays. Describe the issue clearly. Note the impact on work and record changed conditions or delays. Same principle. A problem you documented the day it happened is credible. A problem you remember 3 months later is just a story. Element 12, Superintendent's Signature. Review the report for accuracy. Confirm the day's record, final sign-off, and closeout. That signature is what turns a pile of notes into a formal business record. It says, "A responsible person reviewed this and attests it's accurate." That's part of what makes it credible in a dispute. Don't treat the signature as a formality. It's the seal on the whole document. These entries help track risk, preserve follow-up items, and close out the daily report properly. Write same day. Separate facts from opinions. Include follow-up items. That same-day rule is the one people break the most and regret the most. Memory fades, details blur, and a report written a week late is worth a fraction of one written that afternoon. Same day. Every day. Okay, we've conquered the daily report. Now the back half of the class, 3 more documentation tools, and this slide previews all 3 before we drill in. Photography standards. The headline rule, and burn this in. Photograph before concealment. Rebar, anchor bolts, utilities, waterproofing, connections, anything that's about to get buried or covered. Capture a wide shot first, then close-up details. Use date, time, and GPS-stamped photos when you can. Upload daily. Look at those examples of hidden work at the bottom. Rebar, anchor bolts, waterproofing, utilities. Once concrete gets poured over that rebar, the only record that it was installed correctly is your photograph. That's the entire concept. Construction software. Procore and Autodesk Build. These are your project platforms, holding photos, RFIs, submittals, change orders, daily reports, drawings, and field issues, all in one centralized cloud record. And Bluebeam Revu. That's your PDF markup tool for redlines, quantity notes, submittal review. The workflow at the bottom is the rhythm: capture, upload, tag, share, archive. Lead documentation. On a green certified project, you track waste management and diversion, material sourcing, low VOC, and indoor air quality submittals. And red, that highlighted line: documentation, not intent, earns the credit. You can buy all the right sustainable materials, but if you can't document it, you don't get the lead point. Period. And one practical note that catches people: commercial drone operations typically require FAA Part 107 certification. Aerial photos strengthen your documentation, but you need the cert to fly commercially. Don't just send an intern up with a drone. Let's take these three in detail. Photography standards. The one-sentence version is right at the top. Document hidden work before concealment, with clear, timely, organized photos that protect the project record. What to photograph before concealment: rebar, anchor bolts, underground and concealed utilities, waterproofing, structural and envelope connections, and any change conditions. Think about the sequence of a building. Rebar gets placed, then it's gone forever under concrete. Underground utilities get trenched, then backfilled and buried. Waterproofing gets installed, then the wall goes up over it. Every one of those is a moment where, if it was done wrong, you will not find out until something fails: a leak, a crack, a failure, months or years later. And at that point, the only evidence of what's actually under there is the photo you took before it disappeared. That's why we shoot hidden work. Not because it's fun, because it's the only record that will ever exist. Capture sequence: wide context shot first, then a medium shot, then close-up detail, then a labeled upload. The wide shot establishes where. It shows the grid, the location, the context. The close-up shows the quality, the detail, the workmanship. You need both. A close-up with no context could be anywhere. A wide shot with no detail proves nothing. Wide to tight, then label it. Photo standards: date, time, and GPS stamp when available. Record exact location and trade. Clear, well-lit, in-focus images. Include orientation and context. Photograph the same day. Upload daily to the project platform. Same day, daily upload. Same discipline as the daily report. A photo sitting on someone's phone for 3 weeks isn't documentation. It's a liability waiting to be lost when the phone breaks. Look at those examples again: rebar, anchor bolts, waterproofing membrane, underground utilities. And the best practices tie it all together. Record facts, not opinions. Organize by area and date. Tie photos to drawings or locations, and do not rely on memory later. That last one is the whole philosophy of this class in one line. Construction software. Digital tools that support documentation, communication, coordination, and project control. And I want to be direct with you about this slide. This is a hireability issue. When you walk onto your first job as a project engineer, you will be expected to be proficient in this software essentially from day one. So pay attention. Project platforms: Procore and Autodesk Build. These are the big centralized cloud platforms. Both of them hold photos, RFIs, submittals, daily reports, drawings, and field issues, all in one centralized record. Procore in particular is the dominant platform in the commercial market right now. If you learn one piece of construction software before you graduate, learn Procore. Many of you will use it every single day of your career. Bluebeam Revu. This is your PDF powerhouse: markup, redlines, quantity notes, document review, visual communication. When a PM or estimator marks up a set of drawings or does quantity takeoffs off a PDF, they're usually doing it in Bluebeam. It's the tool for working on the documents themselves. The typical workflow: capture, upload, route, review, share, archive. That's the life cycle of a piece of project information, from the field all the way to the permanent record. And why it matters: It strengthens accountability and audit readiness, improves retrieval and reduces rework, enhances team coordination and communication, and maintains one project record from start to finish. That last point is the magic of these platforms. One source of truth, instead of information scattered across emails, texts, phones, and someone's notebook. Use consistent file names, upload the same day, keep one source of truth, tie records to drawings and locations. And a word of advice, these platforms are most contractors' biggest investment in process. Learn to use them well, not just barely. The PE who's genuinely fluent in Procore is more valuable than the one who fumbles through it, and people notice that fast. Lead documentation. On a green certified project, well-organized records support lead credits, audits, and project verification. And here's the mindset shift I want you to make. On a lead project, documentation isn't paperwork about the work. The documentation literally is the work that earns the certification. Key documentation categories: track waste management and diversion, collect material sourcing and product data, maintain low VOC and indoor air quality submittals, and organize documentation for credits and audits. Take waste management. On a lead job, you might be required to divert a certain percentage of construction waste from the landfill, recycle it instead. But you don't get that credit by recycling. You get it by documenting the recycling, weight tickets, diversion reports, the paper trail that proves where every ton of waste went. No documentation, no credit, even if you did everything right. Documentation workflow. Collect the required documents and submittals, verify accuracy and completeness, organize by category, date, and trade, upload to the platform, and retain for credits, audits, and future reference. Same discipline as everything else today. Collect, verify, organize, store. Why it matters. Well-organized documentation verifies compliance, supports lead credits, and streamlines project review. And there it is again, the line from the overview. Documentation, not intent, earns the credit. You can have the greenest intentions on the planet. If you can't prove it on paper, the certification body doesn't care. That's the same lesson as the daily report, isn't it? If it isn't documented, it's difficult to prove. Whether it's a delay claim or a lead credit, the principle never changes. Track by spec section or credit, save backup support, organize by date and trade, and review completeness before submission. That review before submission matters because a lead submittal that's missing one piece of backup can get rejected, and now you're scrambling to recreate records from a project that's already closing out. Get it right the first time. Let's bring it home. 5 takeaways. 1. Daily reports are your most important field document. Courts treat contemporaneous records made at the time, in the normal course of business, as highly credible. Document it today. In 3 years, it's gold. That's not a slogan. It's how the legal system actually works. The note you scribbled this afternoon could be worth a fortune in a claim 3 years from now. 2. The 12 required daily report elements. Project ID, weather, work performed, specific. Workforce by trade and employer and count. Equipment, deliveries, site visitors. Critical, inspections, safety, verbal directions, problems and delays, and the superintendent's signature. 12 elements. For buckets, every single day. 3. You must photograph before concealment. Rebar, anchor bolts, underground utilities, waterproofing, structural connections, envelope details, and any change conditions. Date and GPS stamp, upload daily. Once it's buried, your photo is the only record that survives. 4. Learn the software. Procore is the industry's dominant platform. Learn it. Also learn Bluebeam Revu for red lines, Microsoft Project for scheduling, and Autodesk Build. And hear me clearly. Entry-level project engineers are expected to be proficient from day one. This is the homework that makes you hireable. 5. Lead projects require extensive GC documentation, waste management plans, material sourcing tracking, recycled content records, low VOC product submittals. And poor lead documentation can mean failed certification, even when the building was built green. Documentation, not intent, earns the credit. So here's the one idea that runs through this entire class, top to bottom. If it isn't documented, it's difficult to prove. Your daily reports, your photos, your software records, your lead submittals, every one of them exists to build a record you can stand on later. The best contractors in this business are relentless about it. Be one of them. Next class, Class 14 on Wednesday, Project Administration, RFIs, ASIs, PCOs, and OCOs. Remember those verbal directions we talked about, the ones that trigger a PCO follow-up? That's exactly where we pick up. The documentation you build today becomes the change orders, and the money we manage next class. See you then.